Hello guys, welcome to Physics Grad. This is day 6 of daily quantum mechanics and today we are going to learn what we mean by basis and components of a vector. So in this video, we are going to learn what we mean by basis of a vector space, what we mean by components of a vector, and we are going to see an important theorem and then we will see some examples. So first, we recall what we learned in the previous class, that is basically the definition of dimension of a vector space. So the dimension of a vector space is n if it can accommodate a maximum of n linearly independent vectors, and based on this we had stated and proved an important theorem which says that any vector v in an n dimensional vector space can be written as a linear combination of linearly independent vectors, n linearly independent vectors. Okay, so we had already seen this theorem and proved it in the previous class. So now we are ready to define what we mean by basis of a vector space. So if you have an n-dimensional vector space, then any set of n linearly independent vectors will be called as the basis. Okay, so if you have an n-dimensional vector space, any set of n linearly independent vectors is called a basis. Okay, so this implies, since if we have n linearly independent vectors, the previous theorem which we saw allows us to write any vector as a linear combination of these n linearly independent vectors. So that means once we choose a basis, which is basically a set of n linearly independent vectors, we can write any vector v as a linear combination of the vectors contained in the set which we call as basis. Okay, so here all the vectors I from I equal to 1 to n will form a basis. Okay, so before we see the examples and understand these things, I will also define what we mean by the components of a vector, and this is also pretty straightforward. So if we have a vector v which can be expressed as a linear combination of n linearly independent vectors, where these n linearly independent vectors form the basis of the vector space, then the coefficients of expansion, which are these guys which we named as vi, of a vector in terms of a linearly independent basis. Okay, here the basis is the set of vectors I ranging from 1 to n, are called the components of the vector in that basis. That is a very important phrase here, because the components, the value of these components is going to depend on what basis we choose. Since we saw in our previous video that we can choose any n linearly independent vectors, the choice of the n linearly independent vectors is not unique. Okay, and we had seen examples as well. So therefore the choice of basis is also not going to be unique. Okay, so from now onwards, whenever I say a set of n linearly independent vectors in an n-dimensional vector space, I am going to simply refer to them as the basis. Okay, because that's the definition of a basis. So as we had seen in our earlier examples in the previous video, the choice of basis is not going to be unique, and therefore our values of the coefficients of this kind of a linear expansion is also going to depend on what is the basis that we choose. Okay, so we'll understand these things as we look at some examples soon. So then we come to an important theorem where we say that the expansion of the vector v in terms of this basis, in terms of a given basis, is going to be unique. Okay, so it's unique for a given basis. So let us now prove this theorem, and of course later on we will see many examples, not many, 2 examples, arrows and 2 cross 2 matrices. So let us first prove this theorem. So let us suppose that the expansion is not unique. Let's say that it is indeed possible to write the same vector as a linear combination of this with respect to the same basis but using different coefficients or different components. Then this implies that there should exist another expansion such that we have the same basis but different components or coefficients of expansion. So if such an expansion exists, then I can always subtract these two equations. Okay, I'm going to subtract these two equations. So subtract. Then in the left hand side, I'm going to subtract a vector with itself, which means I'm going to get a null vector. So we will have the following equation. So we will have the null vector will be equal to summation from I equal to 1 to n vi minus vi dash times the corresponding basis vector. So I basically got this from subtracting these two equations. Okay, so what we get is a null vector equal to some linear expansion with respect to the basis. But since by definition the basis vectors are linearly independent, which means that from the definition of linear independence, the values for these coefficients in this kind of an expansion, because this is basically an expansion of the form a1 1 plus a2 2 plus dot 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 plus an n equal to 0. Since these basis vectors are linearly independent by definition, for this to be equal to a null vector, all of these coefficients must vanish, which means that for this to vanish, vi must be equal to vi dash. This implies that the expansion is going to be unique. Okay, so the main reason is that basis vectors are linearly independent, which is by definition. So therefore the expansion is unique, because we cannot find vi dash which is different than vi. They have to be the same in order for the basis vectors to be linearly independent. Alright, so once again I note that the components of a vector v is unique for a given basis. Okay, so therefore if we change the basis, the components will also change. Okay, so that means consider two different bases. Okay, which means that in the same vector space I'm going to choose two different sets of n linearly independent vectors. So both of them will form a basis, and I can expand this vector v in terms of both the bases. Okay, because of the theorem that we had seen earlier, because if you have n linearly independent vectors in an n dimensional basis, we can express any vector v as a linear combination of those n linearly independent vectors. So that means I can expand it in terms of this basis, or I can expand it in terms of the other basis, which I call I dash. Okay, so both of them should give the same vector v, but in these two cases their coefficients of expansion or components are going to be different. Okay, so vi is not equal to vi dash if the bases are not the same. Okay, so that is a very important thing to note here. So so before going to the examples, let us just see a general way for adding vectors in terms of these components and bases and so on. So there exists a general rule for adding two vectors in terms of the components, and that is as follows. So if we have vector v which can be expanded in terms of this basis as with components vi, and vector w in terms of the same basis with components wi, the key point is that both should be expanded in the same basis. So then we can write the sum v plus w as simply summation over I. We just add these two and use the property that a plus b times v equal to a times v plus b times v, and using this we can combine these two and group the coefficients together, and we basically get this guy. So summing up these two vectors is same as adding their corresponding components and expanding them in the same basis, provided we are expanding them in the same basis. So for the rule for adding two vectors in general is basically to simply add their corresponding components, and we are also going to understand this with an example. Similarly, rule for scalar multiplication, if we have a vector v and we are multiplying it with the scalar a, then if we expand it in the basis I, the a gets multiplied with all the corresponding components and we'll get this kind of a summation for the result of multiplication. So basically multiplying a vector with a scalar is same as multiplying all its components by the same scalar. Okay, so now we'll see one example here. So we are basically going to first consider the case of arrows in a plane. So we consider an xy plane, and as we have seen earlier, arrows in a plane form a vector space of dimension 2. That means that we can choose a maximum of two linearly independent vectors at a time from this vector space. So the number of vectors in forming the basis of this vector space is going to be just 2. So we can choose any two non-parallel vectors as the basis in order to expand some general vector v in terms of this basis. So if we take this example over here, we have the vector v, and let's say that we want to expand them in a basis which consists of two vectors along the x and y axis, and I am going to assume that they have unit length. Then if we know this angle, then you are all familiar with how do we split this vector along these two directions. We basically use the law of parallelogram law of vector addition, and so if we draw the parallelogram, this is going to be our parallelogram. In this case it's a rectangle, and all we need to do is find a vector in this direction which has the same length as this side of the rectangle, and find a vector along this direction which has the same length as this side of the rectangle. That simply means we multiply these unit arrows with appropriate constants so that they have the same length as the sides of these rectangles. So when we do that, what are we going to get? So let's say that the coefficient that we need to multiply with vector 1 is a, and coefficient that we need to multiply with vector 2 is b. Then what we get is that vector v is equal to a times vector 1 plus b times vector 2. Then we say that these a and b are the corresponding components of the vector v in this basis. Okay, and if we know the length of this vector L, and if we know this angle, we can easily find the values of a and b using trigonometry, which you should already know by now. Similarly, if I choose a different basis, so let's say that I choose these two vectors as the basis, 1 dash and 2 dash. If they also have the same unit length, then the same expansion would be minus a times 1 dash plus minus b times 2 dash. Because the only difference between these two vectors and these two vectors is that they are pointing in opposite directions. So we basically have to multiply it by the same amount but with a negative sign in order to make sure that we are in a direction which is opposite to the initial vectors that we have chosen. So this is an example of arrows wherein we have expanded a general vector v in terms of the basis that we chose along the x and y axis and having unit length. But of course you can choose any two. So if this was the vector v, we could have chosen any two vectors as the basis, 1, 2, and all we need to do is we need to draw a parallelogram parallel to these two vectors. So I would draw something like this and find the corresponding lengths of the two sides of the parallelogram and find the appropriate constants with which you need to multiply these two vectors in order to change their length to the same length as the sides of the parallelogram, so that when you add them up, you get the same vector v. And in that way, you can find the components of the vector v along the bases 1 and 2. Okay. So what we have seen is that the choice of the basis is not unique, and that is also true here. And with different bases, we get different components as well. So the components are not the same for different bases. Okay, but for a given basis, the components are unique, and that also we have proved. So I wanted to discuss one more example on which is 2 cross 2 matrices, but it seems like we are reaching 15 minutes, so I'm going to do that in the next video. So thank you for watching. I will see you on day 7. So take care.